So this is the third and final review week we're having here at the beginning of Latin 2. This week we're going to do an ablative case review of everything you've been taught so far about ablative. You're going to fill in these notes as we go along, and then you can use your purple ablative chart to transfer everything there so you have it sort of in one place, and rewriting it will help you remember it better as well. So as you remember, ablative sometimes needs a preposition and sometimes it does not. And in the ablative accompaniment, it does take a preposition. It takes cum plus the ablative. And ablative accompaniment indicates that person, of course it can be persons, that someone is accompanying, or the persons with whom they are completing the action. Now, in some cases, the ablative can be an object. I'll give you some examples here. Cum socio, so here's the ablative word. Pugno, I fight with an ally. And the next one is cum tello ambulas, and that is you walk with a weapon. Now, ablative of manner is another one that takes a preposition, and it also takes cum plus the ablative. And it describes the manner in which an action was done or how the action was completed. So often words that represent emotion or attitude will appear in this construction. And the preposition cum, if you remember way back from Latin 1, is optional if an adjective is used. So if you use the preposition as placed between the adjective and the ablative, like magna cum laude, we normally say with great praise, and the cum would be over here, but not in ablative of manner. So magna cum laude, you probably heard that about people who graduate the really high GPA. It's called magna cum laude. So the English word with is usually the best translation, although the phrase can be translated using an adverb. So there's two ways to do it. So here's that cum, with joy, right? He shouts with joy. You can also do it with an adverb and makes the exact same sense, and joyfully would be the adverb there. He shouts joyfully. How does he shout? Joyfully. Another way would be molto gaudio. So that is much joy. He shouts with much joy. And remember, the preposition cum is optional, and there we don't need it. Now, the third one that you learned was ablative of means, and this one does not take a preposition. Now, it indicates a thing by, so remember ablatives, so we've got those ablatives words there, by or with something is accomplished. So the Romans never used this construction for a person or an animal. It was always a thing. So you'll never see anything that was living, right? So if you're not sure if it needs to be an ablative of means and therefore doesn't need a preposition, if you can put by means of into the sentence, that will help you, give you a clue if you need to use it. So armis pugnant, there's the one in the ablative. They fight with weapons, so no preposition there. And if you remember way back from Latin 1, when you had the ablative, remember one of the implied or included English words was by, with, and from. That's how you can put that into the English, because it can be included without the preposition. So caro, same thing, there's your ablative. Caro frumentum portavit. He carried the grain by cart. You could probably say with a cart as well. But if you can put by means of in there, then you know that it's an ablative of means. So that's just a little trick for you. So when translating the ablative of accompaniment, manner, or means into English, the words by or with. So if you remember, the ablative words tend to be by, with, from. You're not going to find from really here. All right. Next one you learned, so hopefully this is starting to sound familiar to you, was the ablative of separation. So it's with an a or an ob, that preposition, plus the ablative. And if you remember, a is used before a consonant and ob is used before a vowel, like a and an in English. So it expresses that a person or thing is separated from someone or something. And usually the verbs that go with it means something to free, to lack, or to deprive. those kinds of verbs. Now, when this construction is used in reference to a person or a real separation is taking place, then the preposition a, ob, e, or x is usually used. However, when the construction is referenced a thing, right? A thing, the separation is metaphorical, or when the verb is compounded with an a or an ob. There's an a or an ob in front of the verb, kind of like a prefix. You know those compound verbs, ex or de, the preposition is usually omitted. So let's take a look at that. All these bolded things, of course, are in the ablative. Opidum a malo rege servobatis. You will save the town from the evil king. So here we have that preposition a right here that we talked about because it has to do with a person and it is a real separation. Ab opido copias prohibuit. He kept the troops from the town. So here we have the ob again, the preposition, and here we have the object, the thing that's being separated from. The thing being separated from is the town. So here we just have the ablative without a preposition. Metu copias prohibuit. He kept the troops from fear. And that's metaphorical because it's like fear is not a tangible thing that you separate from. And then the last is agri frumentis. Here we have no preposition again and is the ablative form. The fields are lacking grain. Okay, so it's a thing, not a person. So we do not need the preposition there. All right, next one is ablative of place from which. Lots of options for this one. We can use an a or an ob. We can use a de. Remember down from concerning about, e or x. Plus the ablative. Okay, lots of choices there. So it shows motion away. So place from which, it's pretty much motion away from an object. So English often uses the prepositional phrases from, away from, or out of, which is why we see these prepositions right here, because that's what it means. So here we go. Preposition plus the ablative. Populi ab opido festinant. The people hurry from the town. And here's another one. Populus fugit ex Aegypto. The people fled out of Egypt. So both of these things are objects, not people. And that's called ablative of place, so motion away from. So ablative of place where. All right. That takes a preposition plus the ablative. Now, describes where something takes place. So not motion here. Describes where something takes place. These all use the ablative, but the reason you kind of need to know they exist is so that when you're either writing something in Latin or you're translating something and it may have a preposition, it may not, so you can understand why it has a preposition or why it doesn't, so that you can translate it into English in the best way. So Latin prepositions that express place will often take an ablative object, though there are several that take the accusative. Now this is called accusative of place to which. Okay, so those we're not going to go over today. But so here we have the ablative again. In via. We were walking. In via ambulabamus. We were walking in the road. So there's the one that takes in. Here also is again the ablative phrase. Mille sub arboribus stat. The soldier stands under the trees.